Hey folks, how's it going? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we are checking out the latest CT Toys Bootleg action figure with their knockoff Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Spider-Man 2.0. And I'm really chuffed that they've decided to make a bootleg of this figure. We took a look at the legitimate version on the channel back when the figure first came out. It's a figure that is much loved by a lot of collectors, including myself. I do believe it deserves a lot of the praise that it gets, because the Revoltech Spidey 2.0, not only can it get into a lot of crazy dynamic Spidey poses, but it also just looks like a really good Spidey. The version 1 Revoltech Spider-Man figure, it could hit the poses, but if you didn't hit it quite right, it just looked a wee bit off, especially if you did have it in a more neutral vanilla pose. It looked quite janky. And so with the version 2, I feel like Revoltech really did improve on the overall look to Spidey. The sculpt is excellent, it looks really sleek, and combining that with the range of movement, it is a great Spider-Man action figure. However, unfortunately, I was kind of hit with the usual Revoltech QC issues. I seem to encounter these a lot. My version 2 Deadpool just fell apart when I was posing it, and my version 2 Spidey was no different. The legs would pop off, the lenses would fall out the head sculpt, and I just ended up retiring the figure in the end. It just stays in the box now. It is a very frustrating experience trying to pose that figure around. I wasn't having any fun, and so when CT Toys announced they were making a bootleg version, knowing how good their bootlegs have been, I was really hoping that I'd be able to continue on posing the Revoltech styled Spidey version 2, but using the CT Toys knockoff. But yeah, I guess we'll jump into it. We'll start the video here. Before we do though, let me know down in the comments section below what your thoughts are on this Revoltech bootleg. Have you picked it up yourself? Are you planning to? Let me know what else you're excited to see from CT Toys. We have a black suited version of this figure on the way, a Scarlet Spider version coming on the way, Gambit. There is a lot of CT Toys bootlegs coming. Let me know what you're most looking forward to down in the comments section below. And let's not wait any longer, let's check out the packaging on this figure. So taking a quick look at the official packaging here, this is the original box for the Amazing Yamaguchi. We can see product images, logos, and all that good stuff on the original packaging here. And then we bring in the CT Toys version, and we can see that it's not too different. They have just sort of minimized the size of the box and used the same sort of images. Definitely less logos here, there's nothing at the top. CT Toys in the bottom right. We can see that image of the figure along the side, the leg going onto the side of the box here. More product images on this side of the box, and then we get the back of the packaging as well. Looks a bit unfinished up at the top there, but yeah, who really cares? This looks all good, and let's see what we get inside of the packaging. So opening up our CT Toys figure, we do get this small sort of inside clamshell with everything included with the figure, which is notably smaller than the official Amazing Yamaguchi version. We can see how much bigger this clamshell is. I do quite like the smaller packaging, to be honest. We also get a flight stand included in this sort of cellophane. None of that's really the same with the CT Toys. But going back to the CT Toys, let's take a closer look at what we get. So to start us off, we get this flight stand. I normally just leave the flight stands in the boxes, but I was needing a new flight stand. I put this one together and it works really well. For the price point, I'm really happy with this because flight stands aren't that cheap. So to get them included in our £15 knockoff figure and it to be in good working order, I'm really happy with. We then get our lens pack, and these all look pretty well painted. Nothing seems to be incorrect here. I've not interchanged them onto the head sculpt yet because that was an issue I had with the legitimate figure, where once I popped them out of the head, they never really stuck on the same and they'd fall off when I was posing the figure. So I've not really got to that point yet. The other thing I'll say, you don't get the wee tool to remove the lenses that you do get with the official figure, so you might be better off just using one of the web accessories, that wee end bit there. And while we've got the web accessory here, this looks pretty accurate to the original. We get 2 of these, so just to quickly bring in the other one and show that they are as similar as I say. They are pretty much identical. I think they are just the exact same web accessory. 2 of these, they port into the hands really well. I've used them already. I like the sculpt, I like the paint, and let's see if I can find one of the original ones. So here is the official Amazing Yamaguchi web accessory that CT Toys is ripping off here, and I do think the official one looks better. You can see that the green plastic is definitely a bit more translucent, and I think that pops that wee bit more. The CT Toys one isn't bad, but I do definitely think Amazing Yamaguchi still wins here. And then we get these 2 other web accessories that port into the whipping hands. I do like the design of these, something a bit different. And again, we get 2 of them overall. To compare it to the original here, again, similar to the other web accessory, the colour overall I think does look a bit better on the official release. Just again, a bit more translucent, it pops that wee bit more. But CT Toys haven't done a bad job. I mean, especially with the sculpt there. The sculpt is great. It is just that paint finish. We then get these 2 web wings that will port onto the Spider-Man figure. I've not made use of these yet. At first, I thought the sculpt looked a bit chewed up there. Didn't look very smooth. But then when you bring in the original Amazing Yamaguchi web wing, it does look the same. So it looks like the sculpt has been copied pretty well here. Looks pretty much the same scale wise. Again, it's just the paint that differs between these. And then we get this plethora of hands. I'm not going to run over all of these individually, but I have interchanged a few of these around when I was posing the figure last night. They swap over pretty well, and I'm glad that we get the full range of interchangeable hands here. And then we get the figure itself, and there's definitely a few things to touch on in this review. My first impressions getting this out of the box, I was pretty stoked on it. I think it looks the part. I mean, it looks great. They've replicated the paint really well. The sculpt looks really accurate. I mean, let's just quickly bring in the original figure, and of course we will do a more in-depth comparison as the video goes on, but just to quickly show them off side by side, you can see that CT Toys have accurately replicated that Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech 2.0. Again, we'll do a more in-depth comparison, see how it scales next to one another, but yeah, I think out the box, I was pretty happy with this thing. But the head sculpt, I think, is when you kind of run into the first issue here. The right lens, the white on it is just a bit too large. You can see on that left side, you get that black lens running right round the sides, and that is missing on that other lens there. So there is a slight mispaint, not enough to really ruin the figure for me or anything, but definitely something I noticed pretty quickly. As I showed off earlier, all the other lenses look to be pretty well painted, and you know what? I'll swap them over just now so it is the same lenses that I have on the official figure here. That looks alright, something a wee bit off about it. Again, as I said at the start, once you kind of take those lenses out, it's hard to keep them in as flush as they were originally, but I believe these are the lenses that are replicating the ones that I have on the official figure here. You can see that the official figure definitely looks stronger than the CT Toys, but again, not too bad. The sculpt of the head looks really good here. I mean, the sculpt of the whole body looks terrific. Again, I think they have really nailed replicating the official figure. But this is where the problems really start to show. Now, we looked at the Agent Venom CT Toys figure here on the channel, and I was blown away by how well that figure moved around. The range of movement and articulation were extremely true to Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech figures. I don't think it really fell apart on me at all. I remember it popped off at the waist a bit, but I feel like that was probably my fault more than anything. And so I was really excited for this Spider-Man 2.0. I thought if they took what they did with the Agent Venom figure and applied it here, then we would be laughing. Again, I'd be able to officially retire the legitimate figure and go on posing this one. But I have fallen into a lot of the same problems with this bootleg that I have with the original, and I think it's kind of funny in a way. It's almost like they have replicated the original so well that I have the same QC issues, and I'll just show that off right now if I want to move that leg. Okay, it's staying on there, it will go about that high. You do have that thigh cut there, so you want to move that round and it pops off. So getting this thing into the same dynamic poses I was talking about at the start of the video is pretty impossible. I noticed that the socket has a crack in it. That is not going to help at all. I don't know if that came out the box like that. The leg instantly came off out of the box, so I took this thing out of the packaging. I was like, yes, can't wait to pose it. Went to get him in that sort of web swinging pose, you know, like so. Oh, well, I mean, his legs actually held up there, can't really complain. But then the next issue is the leg comes off at the knee, exact same as my official version. This is the same problems that I have with my official version. It falls off at the knee every single time I go to pose him, and again it just creates such a frustrating experience. Yeah, popped off again, and that's me just bringing the leg down. So I don't want to harp on it too much here, but yeah, it doesn't look like I'm retiring the official figure because the CT Toys figure is the same essentially. Again, they've kind of replicated the original so well that it has the same QC issues. I've not noticed anything in the upper body. It is really only the leg area here. This leg isn't too bad. It sounds awful, but you can make use of that thigh cut. It is going up. It's not really popping off as much, but you know, this one comes off at every second, and with the knee as well. So, bit disappointed there. Again, nothing really elsewhere in the figure that I've noticed. However, I will say your official Amazing Yamaguchi figure, to bring it in, I've posed this thing around quite a bit and it's very fluid. It moves like butter. It is really nice. It feels really premium. His arm, you can see why I was wanting to retire this figure, because his arms just popped out. But yeah, the range of movement on this thing, his arms came out again. They are honestly as bad as each other. I think Amazing Yamaguchi are pretty overrated based on my experience. And it's a shame because the figures look amazing. They pose really well for a day or two and then it just becomes all hell. But going back to what I was trying to say without the figure falling apart, it moves very smoothly. It feels great. The CT Toys isn't quite at that level. It's a bit more stiff. It's loosening up, of course, over time, but when it came out the packaging, could have probably done with a bit of heat, because it just didn't move as nicely as the official version. It's a bit tougher, but that's really all I wanted to say on that. I think, again, they've nailed the paint, they've nailed the sculpt, but it isn't quite up to the same standard as their previous bootlegs. And so here we have our CT Toys bootleg on the left and the original official Amazing Yamaguchi Spider-Man 2.0 on the right. £15 versus £100. I think CT Toys have done an excellent job replicating the sculpt and the paint. I think the paint is really impressive, especially in hand. The shiny blue looks amazing, the red looks good. I don't think the head sculpt with the lenses beats out the original by a fair bit. I think the lenses could have done a wee bit more work. I think the thing is here, again, with my experience of these Revoltech figures, they just fall apart on me, and at the end of the day, would I want to spend £15 for a figure that's going to fall apart on me, or £100? And I mean, I would happily take the £15 option if I knew that the £100 version wasn't going to hold up. And I say that as if, you know, it's gotten really bad over time, which it has, but it was bad pretty much straight out the box when it came to posing the figure. Same as the CT Toys, and so it's like, I feel like I can't really diss the CT Toys version that much when the official version is really just as bad. But what is annoying to me is the Agent Venom CT Toys bootleg figure was fantastic. It's actually probably the only Revoltech type figure I have that doesn't fall apart on me, and that is coming from CT Toys. So in comparison to their previous bootlegs, I feel like it is a wee bit of a letdown, but comparing it to the official figure, honestly, not bad at all. I think if the lenses were just that wee bit more sleek, this thing would look terrific, and it already does look terrific. It's really just the head sculpt that sets it apart a wee bit to the original there. And here is of course the CT Toys Agent Venom figure that I was referring to. We took a look at this thing on the channel, so if you've not seen that, feel free to check the video out, because this is a monster of a bootleg. It really doesn't get much better than this CT Toys Agent Venom knockoff. And unfortunately, I went into this CT Toys figure hoping for the same level of quality, and it doesn't quite deliver. Yeah, unfortunate. I really don't know how I feel about going forward and getting those Mess Toys Symbiote Spider-Man Revoltech figures. Hopefully, they are going to be a bit better when it comes to the range of movement than this figure right here. And then for another CT Toys figure comparison, we have their Mafex Comic Spidey here on the right, standing a lot smaller than our Revoltech bootleg on the left, but I do think overall, again, it is a much better bootleg from CT Toys. I mean, both figures do capture the sculpt incredibly well, but I'm just happier that my Mafex isn't going to fall apart on me when I'm posing it around. And finally, to bring in a couple of legends, we have the new Maximum Spider-Man Marvel Legends figure on the left and the AF-15 standing on the right. And so there we have it for our newest CT Toys bootleg action figure, replicating the Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech 2.0 Spidey. And yeah, it looks amazing. The paint looks amazing. The sculpt is spot on. But the practicality of it is just nonsense, you know. I can't do anything with that. I can't pose this figure because of that. And it's the same with the real version. I essentially have two Amazing Yamaguchi Spider-Man 2.0s that I can't do anything with because they just completely fall apart. At least the arm's not coming out of this one yet. But I probably won't even have the opportunity to get the arm loose enough to come off, because again, I'm not really going to be able to pose this thing. I'd love to know your guys' experience with this figure. If you have already picked it up, is yours the same? Because I doubt all these bootlegs are going to have the same QC issues. It's just a bit weird that it's the exact same as the legitimate version that I have. But let me know if your figure is any better when it comes to posing the figure around. Let me know your overall thoughts on the bootleg watching this review. Let me know what you want to see from CT Toys next. Of course, we do have the symbiote version of this figure coming, but I really don't know how to feel about that after posing this one around. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're down there, guys, if you could do me a massive favour and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to leave the link to my Instagram in the description below, because I did manage to get 3 or 4 shots off this guy before deciding to call it a night and obliterating it off the wall. I stopped before I obliterated it off the wall, just for clarification there in case you thought it was me that caused this. But yeah, I got some shots. I'll post them on the Instagram page. It would mean a lot if you could check it out. I do love posting over on Instagram. If you want to pick this thing up, I'll leave the link in the description below as well. Feel free to hop on over to the channel page, check out any of my other videos over there, or hit one of the videos that's popping up on the screen at the moment. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video right here, and as always, I'll catch yous on the flip-flop later. Cheers.